Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I am going to be doing a long overdue book haul. I think the last book haul that I did was like 4 months ago, so this is very much a collective haul of all of the books that I've acquired over the last couple months. I also have 2 Book of the Month boxes to unbox in this video. These have been sitting on my dining room table for quite some time, so I don't really remember what's inside these. It's going to be a surprise for both of us, and I don't remember what months these came from, but I don't think you guys really care. So without further ado, let's jump into the haul because I have quite a few to go through. Before we get started though, yes, Steve Harrington is on my t-shirt. Now let's begin. So first up, I actually have a bag to show you, which was kindly gifted to me by one of my coworkers. So it is this little reusable tote bag that says so many books, so little time. This is one of the Barnes & Noble tote bags that I always look at every time I go there, but I can never really bring myself to buy one because I already have so many reusable totes and I don't really want to spend money on more. But one of my coworkers, she got one of these for free when they were doing one of their sales, one of their like 50% off sales. If you bought a book, you like got a free tote bag. So she bought a book and she didn't really want the free tote bag, so she gave it to me, and I super love it. And if this phrase isn't the truth, I don't know what is. Speaking of coworkers, one of my other coworkers actually gifted me a whole bunch of books. Don't you guys wish you had my coworkers? They love to feed into my book buying addiction. So the first book that he gave me is this one, which is called Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Ernshaw. This book just came out recently at the beginning of August, and I was highly anticipating this book because it obviously follows Sally after the events of The Nightmare Before Christmas. I believe in this book, Sally and Zero are wandering through the woods and they stumble upon another door that unlocks this whole other world they've never been to before and kind of creates a new nightmare for this cast of characters. I am so excited to read this book, and not only am I excited for the concept of it, but I actually read a book by this author before that I really enjoyed. So this was like one of my most anticipated releases, and I didn't even tell him about it. He just saw this book and thought that it would be something totally up my alley because obviously I love The Nightmare Before Christmas, so I am super excited to read this sometime soon. Next up, he got me The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I have never read a book by this author before, but I've heard about her quite a lot, and I often kind of hear about her when some of my other favorite thriller authors are talked about, so I feel like I might enjoy some of her work. I don't know what this particular story is about because I do like to go into my thrillers blind, but this is probably one of the ones I've heard about the most of hers, so I'm very excited to give this a read as well. Next up, I got Two Can Keep a Secret by Karen M. McManus. I know this author wrote One of Us is Lying, and that was like a very popular book on BookTube. I never read it, but I heard that it was really good, so hopefully this one will be good as well. I don't know what this is about again, but I assume it's in the same kind of vein of like a mystery thriller kind of book. I believe this is YA, and I'm hoping that this is not a sequel to that one. I'm pretty sure this is a standalone. Another book that I was so excited to find in the bag of books that he gave me was this one, which is Never Never by Serena Valentino. This is a part of the Villains series. I don't know exactly which book in the series this is, but I'm pretty sure you don't have to read them in order, but essentially the series, each one follows a different Disney villain, and it kind of gives them an origin story. So I've read the Evil Queen one before, I own the Cruella one, and now I have this one, which is obviously about Captain Hook. And one of the other things I really love about this series is that you have the cover on the dust jacket, but then on the actual hardback you have this other image, and I think that's so cool. I love whenever books do those little special things on the covers. Next, out of my bag of books, we have Genuine Fraud by E. Lockhart. This is by the same author that wrote We Were Liars, which I own. I read. I remember really being shocked by the twist, but I cannot remember what the twist was, so I feel like I need to give that book a reread, but maybe I will start by reading something new by the author and reintroducing myself to the writing a little bit. So again, I have no idea what this book is about, but being that I liked a book by the other author, hopefully I will like this one as well. Next up, we have a Stephen King. This is If It Bleeds. Again, I don't really know what this is about, but I do recognize this cover a lot. When this came out quite a while ago, I remember seeing this cover. I love cats, so I'm kind of automatically drawn to this cover just in general. We have another Stephen King book in here, and I don't know if I'm just an idiot, but I do not know how to pronounce this name on the cover and in the title. I don't know, is it Lacey's story? Is it Lacey's story? Is it something that is just going over my head? I don't know, but either way, I have her story, and I hope it's good in a terrifying Stephen King sort of way. Second to last in the big bag of books from my coworker, we have Shatter Me by Taha Ramafi. This is like a major booktube throwback. This used to be all over booktube many years ago, and I always was interested in reading it, but I just never got around to it. This is about a girl, if I remember correctly, the main character, like her touch kills people or something like that. So I just remember wanting to pick it up and just never getting around to it, but I think the covers of these books are beautiful, so maybe now I will finally get around to picking up this series. I think it was originally a trilogy, but I think it's actually been extended since then. And then the final set of books that my coworker gave me is the complete Summer I Turned Pretty box set. So I haven't even taken this out of the saran wrap yet, but this is the completed trilogy. The first book is The Summer I Turned Pretty, It's Not Summer Without You, and We'll Always Have Summer is the third one, and this is by Jenny Han. I believe this is like a YA contemporary, I think it's romance as well, and it's recently resurfaced because I think Netflix is adapting it or already adapted it, or I don't even know because I'm out of the loop. But I feel like I've kind of moved on from the contemporary romance genre when it comes to YA, but I did super love the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy by the same author, so I'm hoping that might mean I will enjoy this trilogy as well, but we will see. So those are all of the books that my coworker so kindly gifted to me, and I am like super excited for all of these. So now moving on to some of the other books that I picked up over the last couple months. First up, we have Gilded by Marissa Meyer. This is a book that I didn't even know was happening until I saw it on the shelf at Barnes & Noble and I bought it. Marissa Meyer is 100% like an auto by author, which confuses me as to how I didn't hear that this book was releasing until it already came out, but I've read like all of her works, like Heartless, The Lunar Chronicles, all of Renegade. So as soon as I saw this book, I just grabbed it and bought it. I don't even know if I read the synopsis until after I got home, but from what I understand, I think this book might be either like a Rumpelstiltskin retelling or reimagining, because we're following a girl that tells these like made-up stories, and she gets caught by like the king and has to spin silver into gold to prove that the stories that she is telling are not lies or something like that, because she tells made-up stories. I didn't super understand the synopsis, but either way, I'm very excited for it because I've loved pretty much everything that this author has put out, and so I am very excited for this one as well. I also picked up The Miniaturist by Jessie Burton. This is a historical fiction novel that has been on my radar for quite a while, and I find the concept of this so interesting. So in this book, we're following an 18-year-old girl called Nella who begins a new life in Amsterdam, married to her husband. I think they were kind of in like an arranged marriage situation. Her husband gifts her this miniature like dollhouse version of their real life home, and she enlists the help of a miniaturist to like build furniture and all of these tiny things to put into this tiny version of their home. But then the miniature dollhouse starts to mirror what is happening in real life. I love the concept of this because I actually love miniatures. Like, I think those things are so cute, and if I had the money or like the space for that kind of stuff, I would totally get into collecting those things. So the concept of this book is so interesting to me, and I really hope it is as good as it sounds. And I think actually there was a sequel written for this book recently, but I think it could be still read as like a standalone. Next up, I have Scythe by Neil Shusterman. I am about to eat my words in this portion of the video. So this book came out quite a few years ago, and if you were on BookTube when it came out, then you probably remember that this book was in everybody's video. Like, you could not escape hearing about this book. And it got to the point where I watched BookTube like all the time back then. I got so sick of hearing about this book that I was just like, I'm never reading it. I'm never gonna buy it. I'm never gonna read it because I'm just so sick of hearing about it. And then a couple years went by, the sequel came out. I think it's a trilogy, so the third one came out, and they were also like pretty publicized, but never as much as this first one was. And then after all of that happened and the hype for this definitely died down, I someday heard the synopsis of this book again, and I was like, oh, that is kind of an interesting concept for a book. Maybe I do want to read it. So here we are, reading the book I said I was never going to read. So on the slight chance that you were not watching BookTube at the time that this book was released and you don't know what this book is about, I will give you a brief synopsis. So this is a dystopian book in which we have pretty much eradicated death. So there's no more hunger, there's no disease, there's no war, there's no death. But to have population control, there are these people called scythes who are the only ones that can take a life, and that is what they're there for, is population control. So I think in this book we're following two main characters that are apprentice scythes, which is a difficult two words to say next to each other. But yeah, I said I wasn't going to read this book, but now I am. I have pretty high hopes for it because I did hear a lot of good things about it when it first came out, and I also am just kind of excited because this is where my reading started, was with like YA dystopian books, and it has been ages since I have read a dystopian, so I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm really looking forward to diving into one again. And then the final book that I have to show you before we get into the Book of the Month unboxing is Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This is a Star Wars novel that was an early birthday present from my mom. So this book takes place after Attack of the Clones and before Revenge of the Sith, and I think we are mainly following Anakin and Obi-Wan, which Anakin is my all-time favorite Star Wars character, but also kind of, I've come to realize, my all-time favorite fictional character in general. And this time period of like Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith is like my favorite period of Star Wars to read about. So I really hope that this book lives up to my expectations. I feel like Star Wars books can be kind of hit or miss depending on how the characters are written, just because I feel like so protective of these characters, so they really have to be written well. So I'm a little bit nervous about this book, but I'm also excited. And this one is super cool because it actually comes with a poster of the front cover on the inside, which I can't decide if I want to take it out or not because I kind of just want to leave it in the book, but also it's a really cool poster and it would be kind of cool to frame and put on my wall. So now let's get into our Book of the Month unboxing. Like I said, I don't remember which months these are from, and I don't remember what is in either of these boxes, so we are about to find out together. So in this one we have, and I hope I'm saying this right, the Hacienda. I totally forgot what any of these books are about as well, so I remember why I picked this one now. Oh my goodness, I just read the first line and now I know exactly why this was the book I picked. So it said Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca. So I haven't read Mexican Gothic, although it is on my radar to read, and I actually got it from the library once and I just never got around to reading it, but the Rebecca part is what really got me because that is one of my favorite books. So it says Mexican Gothic meets Rebecca in this debut supernatural suspense novel set in the aftermath of the Mexican War of Independence, about a remote house, a sinister haunting, and the woman pulled into those clutches. Okay, so I'm not going to read any more than that because that is enough to pique my interest. Also, this is a beautiful cover. I absolutely love this, and it gives me like autumny Halloween vibes, so I'm definitely going to be picking that one up sometime soon. And then in this next box, I can already feel that there's actually two books in here, which means I got one of the monthly picks, but then I also picked out a book from one of the previous months. So let us see what is in here. Okay, I totally do not remember this book at all, like not even remotely. I've seen that other book at like Barnes & Noble and stuff, but I do not recognize this in the slightest. So this is called You're Invited by Amanda, something I don't know how to say. She'll wish she'd never RSVP'd. Okay, so what is this about? What could be worse than your ex-boyfriend marrying your childhood best friend, getting accused of her murder? Again, I remember now. The light bulb clicked. So I think this is about a girl. As we've established, her ex-boyfriend is marrying her childhood best friend, but then the bride gets murdered and our main character gets accused of the murder. Again, that's all I have to read. I know enough. Looks interesting, although I definitely haven't seen that one as publicized as some of the other ones. And then this one, oh my goodness. I remember now, I missed one of the months. Like, I forgot to request what I wanted for that month, and that was the month that The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager came out. And I was so upset because I am highly anticipating this book. well, I was anticipating it. It's here in my clutches now. But I was like so sad that I missed it. So when the next month rolled around, I got this as my add-on, and I was so glad that it was still available. So yes, I don't even know if I'm really going to read the synopsis of this because I want to go into it blind. It says be careful what you watch for. So yeah, I've read 2 other Riley Sagar books and I absolutely loved both of them. Like basically 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm so excited for this. But also, I've heard that this isn't very good. So I'm also very nervous, and I don't want to talk about it if it's going to be bad. But I'm really excited for it. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I'm so glad I finally got around to unboxing these. Like, these have literally been sitting on my dining room table for at least 3 weeks at this point, if not longer. But yes, I'm very excited for this, if you can't tell. And these ones also sound super interesting, especially this one. So maybe I'll do some reading vlogs when I read these books, since these are like new releases, and I feel like I'm not very good with keeping up with new releases, but doing this book of the month thing has definitely helps a little bit. This is not sponsored, by the way, or gifted to me in any way. I did not receive these books for free, but my family, like my aunts and some of my cousins, actually gifted me like a 6-month subscription to Book of the Month, so that's why I have been doing this. But those credits have since run out, so I will not be doing any more Book of the Month unboxings for the foreseeable future. But it was a really fun time doing this, and I would definitely be interested in doing this again if I ever could afford to do it on a regular basis. But yeah, those are all of the books that I have acquired over the last couple months. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know if you've read any of these books and which ones you think I should prioritize. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!